Okay, bachcho, in today's class, we are going to discuss how we attempt paper 1 and paper 2 both. In the first part of the lesson, we'll learn how to attempt paper 1. We'll look into the details of paper 1 and the parts of the paper 1 so that we can identify that which question to be attempted like what. If you remember, I've told you earlier that paper 1, I have opened one in front of you too. If you remember that in the paper 1, I have already told you that it's 1 hour 15 minutes paper and the name of the paper is Short Answers and Essay. Okay, now this paper has two main sections. Section A, in which we have to answer all the questions, and section B, in which we are given choice and we have to attempt only one question out of the available questions. Now look at the paper. There are two sections, as I told you. One section, section A, the name of the section is Short Answers. If you look, it will be written answer all questions. And section B, you will be required to attempt only one question out of the available questions. This is the last year in which we are given the choice of the three questions. From the next year, we will be given on the choice of two questions. We will have to attempt one out of those. Okay, if you look at the section 1, the minimum number of marks that are tested from us are 2. Look at the first question, 1A, define the term market segmentation. And the maximum number of marks that are tested from us in section A are 5. Look at the question number 3, explain why cost information is important for the business decision making. Okay. So these are the minimum and maximum marks that are tested from us in the exams. When we are going to define a 2 marks definition, for example, a definition is given here, define the term market segmentation. I always request you that at least put 2 points in the definition. For example, if you say that market segmentation is the name of dividing the market in the groups and the subgroups, this will give you only 1 mark. And you will have to obtain 2 marks. So 1 mark for defining this by saying this is the identification of market into groups and subgroups. Then to obtain the second mark, you might say that groups and subgroups are divided on the basis of similar characteristic. This will be your second mark. So in this way, you obtain 2 marks. Define the term properly, then give at least one attribute, one example of the market segmentation. For example, to obtain the second mark, you might also say that segmentation is done on the basis of gender. For example, male and female segments are made in a market. So you will be able to score full 2 marks in that. That is called a sound definition. Okay, the second question that is tested from us is the 3 marks question. Look at the question. Briefly explain 2 reasons why a business might segment the market. Now listen carefully what I'm saying. If we have defined something in a part, there is no need to define that in part B. But if the part A was something else, for example, the definition of niche market was tested in A part and B part is on market segmentation, then you need to define market segmentation in B part. But okay, because we have defined already market segmentation in A part, we need not to define it again. And we simply will come directly to the 2 reasons. Okay, if you look at the question, 2 is bold. It means examiner wants you to write only 2, not more than that. What we do, we give 1 reason, we give 1 point, and we give 1 line explanation for that. For example, when we say that 2 reasons why the business might segment the market, Adib will say that it allows business to focus and attract right customer. This will be the point. Then he might explain it further that with the help of that, the business may obtain customer advantage because business will be having right information about the customer. Then Adib will write second point by saying that it reduces the risk in deciding what to produce. Okay, if the risk is reduced, it means that there are lesser chances of failure into the market. This is the explanation. So 1 line explanation will be enough. What you do, again, I repeat, in 3 marks question, 1 explanation that is followed by 1 knowledge point or reason, and then second knowledge point, and explanation of that too. And that explanation is brief explanation. If you look at the question, the word brief is written already here, briefly explain. So one-liner explanation will be enough in this 3 marks question. Now, the question number 2 is same. If you look at that, define the term transformation process. We again put 2 things in that. Briefly explain 2 ways the manufacturing business might improve the efficiency of business. We write 2 ways, give 1-line explanation for that, and we score 3 marks. Now come to the next question that is a little tricky. 3 marks question, and let me tell you that most of the students lose marks in this 3 marks question because usually they are unable to identify what exactly to be done in this question. This is a 3 marks question. Explain why cost information is important business decision. What you can do in 5 marks question, you can give the important definition. If some definition is there, for example, in this question, you can give the cost of production definition. So define the concept. Define the concept. And then again, you give 2 points to explain. Explain why cost information is important. In this question, you will write 2 importances, but you will give complete detail of that. Full explanation. Like as I have told earlier, that you can explain it in the language of 2 W's, why and what. That if you are stating something, you give a reason of that, why you are saying something, and you give what impact it will have on the business. Usually in the 5 marks question, application is also tested, but in this question, you can identify that there is no, though there is no application, there is no direct link of the business. So you can go ahead with that without considering, although you can give examples to improve your answer. Okay. We are attempting 3 marks question, a 5 marks question. Why the cost information is important? We say that it is important because it helps business that which supplier we need to use. Okay, this is the knowledge point that you have given. Now you can explain it in your own way. You can write that business can identify that from buying which supplier, business cost of production remains lower because business can identify which supplier is actually giving the discounts to the business, or which supplier is charging lesser transportation cost, etc. As with the help of that, business will be able to reduce its overall cost of production and obtain competitive advantage. Then you can also write that cost information also facilitates business to benchmark its products with the companies. This is the knowledge point. Then you would say that with the help of the cost information, business will be capable of comparing its cost of production with the competitors' cost of productions. And if business enables itself to compare the cost, business can identify that where business is lacking behind or which areas of the cost of production business needs to improve, so that business can make the product at lower cost of production as compared to competitor, and again increase sales. So this was the full explanation of a point in the 5 marks question. Again, if you look at the question number 4, this is somehow the other same. Define the term emotional intelligence. Again, I repeat, you give 2 things in your emotional intelligence definition. Then you move on, briefly explain 2 Goldman's emotional intelligence competencies. It's briefly explained. You give 2 competencies, for example, self-awareness and self-control. And you give 1-liner explanation for self-control. You can give an example too. You can give 1-line explanation for the self-awareness. You can give 1 example too. The 3 marks question is okay with that. Let's move to the 5 marks question, 8 marks question, sorry. This is question number 5. This is question number 5 in the paper. 5A will be 8 marks question. As I've already told you earlier, we have discussed that level-based mark scheme is opted in the 8 marks question. There are 4 levels in the answer. When we talk about the level 1, this is knowledge and understanding. For writing knowledge and understanding, you will only score 1 to 2 marks. The level 2 is application. For developing the answer in the relevance to the situation that is given in the answer, you will score 3 to 4 marks. Level 3 is analysis. We talk about the level 3, that is analysis. It means you develop the point, you give the linking points. You score 5 to 6 marks. Then there is level 4. In the level 4, what we do the developed contextual analysis. And we score 7 to 8 marks. No, in one paragraph of your answer, these all 4 levels will be included. For example, the question is analyze the impact of small business on the development of a country. Now you write that with the help of small businesses, the country can improve its GDP. Okay, the improvement of GDP is your knowledge point. This is level 1. Okay, when you say that because the smaller businesses can be done easily, so they can produce a lot of goods and a lot of businesses can do smaller business. This is some application that you have done. You will move to level 2. Then you say that because the smaller businesses can produce specialized goods, they can satisfy a lot of customers. The customer will buy those products. As a result of that, the gross domestic product of country will rise. This is level 3. Then you say that with the increase of the GDP, the standard of living of the people will grow. And as a result of that, the overall economy will grow. This is level 4. So this is 1 point and level 4 explanation of that. In this way, you can write 3 points. You can give level 4 explanation of every relevant point and you can score full marks in this question. So always remember that whatever paragraph you write level 4 answer in the 8 marks question. It means that level 4 answer will include the knowledge point that you need to explain. It will include the application that is related to the context that is given in the question. For example, small businesses and their relationship with the country is the context in this question. Then you analyze it, you write the positives, negative, whatever being asked in the question, you write that and you develop them further. You tell the further benefits related to that first benefit and you score level 4. This is 7 to 8 marks. So in this way, you attempt 8 marks question and remember that you write at least 3 points in this answer. Then we have a 12 marks question. In the 12 marks question, also the level-based mark scheme is used, but in the 12 marks question, the levels are slightly different. In the 12 marks question, the level 1 is knowledge and understanding as usual. You score 1 to 2 marks for that. Then in the level 2, every else details that are being tested in 8 marks are tested here in the level 2. That includes application, analysis, and developed analysis. That is level 2. You score 3 to 6 marks from the level 2. Then the level 3 is limited evaluation. That is 7 to 8 marks. Then level 4 is effective or sound evaluation. That is 9 to 12 marks. So last 4 marks are obtained from the developed evaluation, effective evaluation. Now, what does this mean? Look at the question. We'll try to understand this situation. But please remember that the level 4 of 8 marks question are achieved in 12 marks question till level 2 only. Okay, discuss the view that the public limited company should prioritize the aims of their shareholders rather than those of the stakeholders group. Okay, the public limited company and the shareholders are the specifications in that. You define public limited company, you define shareholders, and then you move on to the question and you tell that whether they should actually prioritize the aims of the shareholders rather than the stakeholders. So you know that the aim of the shareholder is to obtain profits. Okay, perfect. You can write that if public limited company try to maximize the uh, shareholders dividends or the profits, what will happen? If you write that if they try to increase the dividend, this will become your knowledge point. Then you say that public limited company can obtain more revenue, can increase their sales to maximize the value of the shareholders by increasing their dividend. This is your application. Then you write that with the help of that, the shareholders will get satisfied. And as a result of that, the satisfied shareholders will invest further into the company. Their investments will increase. Their trust on the company will increase. This will be your developed analysis. Okay, this is the level 2. Then you say that, but it depends on how strengthened the other stakeholders in the company are. For example, what is the role of the government, whether they actually allow to maximize the shares of the company or not. So this way you give the evaluative point. Till that, when you give one evaluative point, you score level 3 answer. So whatever paragraph you write in the 12 marks question, you write till level 3. You give your knowledge point, you relate to the situation, you give analysis, you give developed analysis, and then you move to the one evaluative point at least. This is the way you can write the main knowledge body, the analysis body of your answer. And then finally you can move to the evaluation of the answer, final evaluation, that is called effective evaluation. In this you can contradict with the examiner, you can give your own point of view or whatever you like. For example, you can say that prioritizing the shareholders is more important for the business. Or Umar Tanvir might say, no, the business should look into the external stakeholders and will see that whether the external stakeholders are being sacrificed or not. Another person, Chahat, might say business also have to see how the pressure groups are treating with the business, so business can identify that whether business need to look into their interest or not. Then after that you might say but it depends on what is the strength of the external stakeholders, it depends on what is the strength of the shareholders, it depends on how much involvement shareholders show into the business, it depends on how much involvement the pressure groups show into the business. And by the end of this discussion you can again say, but in my point of view business should prioritize shareholders interest, or someone might say, but in my point of view business should prioritize the interest of the external stakeholders depending on the nature of the business, for example. So this was the 12 marks question discussion. If you look at the question number 7, that is again an 8 marks question. In this 8 marks question you can identify a special application is also given. For example, analyze the external sources of finance to a multinational car manufacturer. You can write level 4 answer, and you can give some external sources of finance, and because it's an analysis question, give the positives and negative of both all external sources of finance. I'll just write one positive and one negative for both. In this way you will be doing 4 analysis that are more than enough to solve this question. Then you come to the part B, an ability to understand income statement financials is the most important quality required by the senior manager in the business. This is the question related to the abilities of the manager. You can discuss some abilities of manager related to the financial things, and then some abilities of manager regarding the motivation of the employees, regarding the emotional intelligence, regarding the handling of employees, regarding the negotiation skills, regarding the leadership skills, and all that and all. In this way you can attempt this question. So these are the details of some questions that are attested from us in P1, and these are some methods how we attempt those techniques.